Alright, now we're going to go to scraping. I use 3 scrapers on it. Straight one, a slightly curved one, and a gooseneck, although we don't use the gooseneck too much. As you probably know, pine's not easy to scrape and doesn't scrape the greatest, but you can scrape it. You have to have a very sharp scraper to be able to scrape it. And for these seats, I just think it's the way to go. So what you have to do is you have to skew it some. You can see the peelings coming off. And I'm going to go after this difficult area first. Okay, so I got it. I told you it'd be the best way to get it with a scraper. I try to eliminate all tool marks on the carved out part of my seat. I leave tool marks in other parts of the chair, as you've probably already seen, but the seat is the only big flat surface on the whole chair, and it draws your eye anyway. And if it's got tool marks in it, I just think it draws your eye too much. So it's one of the only parts on the chair that I scrape and also sand. So I don't sand underneath it or anything. I don't sand the spindle deck or anything like that, but I do sand out this part where I've carved on the top. These hard areas right here are tough on the scraper. Sometimes I just concentrate right on top of them because it'll dive off of them and be deep on either side of it. You can feel that right there and just concentrate right on it. So we've got, most of this. I can see a few little things right through here, but I'm not finished with it yet. But I'm going to scrape back in here. That Travisher did such a good job. There's just going to be just minimal scraping, which is a good thing because this is ingrain back here, and you can tear out. You don't want that scraper up against that gutter. You'll pull a chunk out of it. You have to watch those growth rings. You'll bounce down them. So it's a little bit of a delicate area to scrape in. You can see I'm still getting pretty good peelings for pine. I'm trying to hit those growth rings sort of perpendicular. I'm skewing it slightly, and that's just beautiful surface right there. That's finished. here, I think I have a little hump right there. Okay, so about ready to move to the sandpaper. And I just take 1/3 of a sheet of 150, and I begin and stop at 150. It's smooth enough to where you don't need anything rougher, and milk paint doesn't care if you go beyond that or not. Now if it's an unpainted chair, I'd go on up to 400. So okay, as you see, I've got spots marked that are a little high or a little low. I think all of them are really high. Now, a lot of them that you see are those hard growth rings right there. Right there, there, right there. Then I'll just take a scraper and wherever the scraper is that I want. And then I'll just concentrate just right on that area. And that's got that one. I'll get them all, then I'll go back and just lightly sand the area once I get all of them. And seat will be carved. Next thing I'll do is I'll be boring the holes for the legs. Now you can bore those before you carve the seat, and some of you all might do that, or you can bore it after. I typically will bore after I carve the seat on chairs that I'm going to paint, and ones I'm not going to paint, like the contemporary ones with walnut seat, I bore prior. And the only reason I do that is if you bore prior to carving and you carve down below the entry hole, then you get a really nice pristine hole up at the top, whereas boring a hole right now, your entry hole can be slightly messed up. And I'm not talking about a big chip or anything, I'm just talking about not perfect circle. So if I'm going to paint it, I don't care. So I bore them afterwards, so I don't have to deal with the holes when I'm carving it, and it's the way I've always done it, so that's the way I do it. But it doesn't matter which way you do it. You can do it before or after.